What the hell are you doing to my solar panels?
I'm standing in my driveway at 5:47 a.m., watching Victoria Ashworth spray paint my $40,000 renewable energy system hot pink. Making this neighborhood respectable again, she snarls, adding another coat.
Your ugly gadgets are ruining everyone's property values.
Those panels, completely legal.
I don't care what's legal.
She whips around, spray can still dripping.
I've been HOA president for 8 years. I decide what belongs in my community.
She's destroying my family's financial future while lecturing me about community standards. What makes this even more ironic is that these panels she's calling eyesores do a lot more for this neighborhood than she realizes. What would you do if your HOA president spray painted your property? Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Because Victoria has no clue what those panels actually power around here. Let me back up and tell you how we got here, because this story starts with an engineer's good deed and ends with the most satisfying surveillance takedown in HOA history. My name's Grant Blake. I'm a 42-year-old electrical engineer and Army veteran who moved to Willowbrook Estates 3 years ago after my wife Sarah's cancer treatment wiped our savings. We picked this house for one reason. That south-facing roof was perfect for solar panels that could cut our $380 monthly electric bill down to $25. I spent 6 months installing a $40,000 system myself, turning it into a father-daughter project with 8-year-old Emma. The satisfying click of solar connectors and metallic scent of warming electrical components became our weekend soundtrack. Emma called them her space panels that powered everything she loved, her gaming setup, her bedroom LED strips, even the small refrigerator where she kept her science experiments. But here's where my engineering brain got creative. While running underground cables for our system, I noticed elderly neighbors struggling with electric bills. Mrs. Patterson next door was spending half her Social Security on electricity. The young Morales family across the street with 3 kids was getting hammered by peak rate charges. So I designed something bigger, a neighborhood microgrid with underground cables sharing power during expensive peak hours, cutting everyone's costs by 30 to 40%. That infrastructure became perfect for something the neighborhood desperately needed. After a string of break-ins hit our area last year, I offered to install security cameras for neighbors who couldn't afford professional systems. Using my solar grid as the power source, I created a comprehensive surveillance network. 17 high-definition cameras covering every driveway, common area, mailbox cluster, and blind spot in a 3-block radius. The gentle hum of electrical transformers and soft blue glow of LED indicators became our neighborhood's new security blanket. Crime dropped to 0 overnight. Elderly residents started taking evening walks again. Parents let kids play outside after dark. Everyone felt safer knowing eyes were watching. Everyone except Victoria Ashworth. Victoria runs our HOA like she's commanding a small dictatorship. This 56-year-old former real estate agent treats Willowbrook Estates like her personal fiefdom, from her corner lot McMansion, with professional landscaping that costs more monthly than most people's car payments. You always hear her coming, those $300 designer heels clicking authoritatively on pavement during her daily compliance inspections, followed by the ominous scratch of her gold Mont Blanc pen, writing violation notices that can cost residents thousands in fines. The first shot in our war came 6 months after installation. Victoria's official violation notice claimed my panels detract from established neighborhood aesthetics and negatively impact surrounding property values. I responded professionally, with architectural review board approval, all permits, and independent studies proving solar installations increase property values 3 to 4% in Texas markets. Knowledge nugget. Texas Property Code, Section 202.010, explicitly prohibits HOAs from banning solar installations that meet manufacturer specifications and local building codes. Bottom line, your solar rights are bulletproof under state law. HOAs legally can't touch them. Victoria wasn't deterred. 2 weeks later, she arrived with the HOA's $400 per hour attorney, demanding panels be removed entirely or modified significantly to blend with community architectural standards. When I patiently explained the physics of why solar panels must face south and can't be painted without destroying their photovoltaic efficiency, she practically snarled her response. "I don't care about your little science project," she said, voice dripping with suburban condescension. "Either fix this eyesore problem, or we'll fix it for you. This is my neighborhood." The crisp sound of legal papers being slapped against my front door still echoes in my memory, followed by her Mercedes-Benz engine revving aggressively as she sped away like she'd just declared personal war on renewable energy. Here's what makes this absolutely beautiful. Victoria has no idea those ugly eyesores she's desperate to eliminate are powering every single camera that's been documenting her authoritarian behavior for months. Every threatening visit, every selective enforcement action targeting minorities and veterans, every whispered, late-night conspiracy with her bored cronies gets recorded in crystal-clear 4K resolution and automatically uploaded to my secure cloud server. My cameras have caught her targeting the same 6 houses repeatedly: the veteran, me; elderly widow Mrs. Patterson; Hispanic family with their vegetable garden; divorced teacher working 2 jobs to support her kids; young black couple with their non-conforming mailbox art; and the retired firefighter whose American flag is apparently too large for community standards. 2 weeks after Victoria's legal threat, the city code enforcement truck pulled into my driveway at 7:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. Emma was getting ready for school when Inspector Larry Kowalski knocked on our door, clipboard in hand and a slightly apologetic expression on his weathered face. "Sorry to bother you, Mr. Blake," he said, glancing at his paperwork. "Got a complaint about your solar installation? Setback violations, missing permits, safety concerns. Mind if I take a look?" The smell of fresh coffee drifted from our kitchen as I led him around back, Emma trailing behind us like a curious scientist. Larry examined every panel, junction box, and electrical connection with professional thoroughness, the metallic clink of his tools echoing off the morning air. "Who installed this system?" he asked after 20 minutes. "I did. I'm an electrical engineer." Larry chuckled, making notes on his clipboard. "Figures. This is cleaner work than half my certified contractors produce. Lady, whoever filed this complaint either doesn't understand electrical code or was hoping I wouldn't do my job properly." I handed him my permit folder. Every certificate, every inspection, architectural approval, even the structural engineering report. Larry flipped through everything while Emma explained how Daddy's space panels make electricity from sunshine. "Your installation exceeds current standards," Larry said, closing the folder. "But here's something interesting. When we get complaints like this, I have to inspect other recent electrical work in the area for consistency." My pulse quickened. I remembered reading somewhere that electrical complaints trigger automatic radius inspections within 500 feet. Larry confirmed my hopes with his next words. "Seems there's a gazebo at 1247 Willowbrook Drive with unpermitted electrical, a pool house at 1251 that failed its final inspection, and some decorative lighting that's not up to code. You know anything about those addresses?" I smiled. 1247 was Victoria's address. That afternoon, my security cameras captured Victoria's black Mercedes speeding through the neighborhood like a woman possessed, stopping at each board member's house for urgent consultations. The audio picked up fragments of heated conversations about that engineer and making this problem disappear. What Victoria didn't realize was that her own complaint had just exposed 3 board members' unpermitted electrical work, including her gazebo's illegal wiring. Sometimes karma has a sense of irony, but Victoria was just getting started. 3 days later, Mrs. Patterson knocked on my door, holding an official HOA notice that made my blood boil. Her hands trembled as she spoke. "They're saying I have to remove Harold's memorial roses," she whispered, tears in her 78-year-old eyes, claiming they attract undesirable wildlife and violate landscape standards. Harold had been Mrs. Patterson's husband of 52 years. Those roses were the only thing she had left of him. He'd planted them the year before cancer took him. Now Victoria was targeting a war widow's memorial garden because Mrs. Patterson had defended my solar panels at the last board meeting. My cameras had recorded the whole strategy session the night before. Victoria and board member Diane Cromwell stood in Victoria's driveway at 11 p.m., planning their retaliation against supporters of the solar eyesore problem. "Hit them where it hurts," Victoria had said, pointing toward Mrs. Patterson's house. "Make an example. Show everyone what happens when they side against the board." The cruelty was breathtaking. This wasn't about aesthetics or property values. This was about power and control, and Victoria was willing to torture an elderly widow to maintain her authority. I spent that weekend building a comprehensive database of every HOA violation in our neighborhood, using my camera network to document everything Victoria's inspections had somehow missed. The scratch of keyboard keys echoed through my garage as I compiled evidence, computer screen casting blue light across wiring diagrams and neighborhood survey maps. Emma helped by organizing photos, asking innocent questions like, why doesn't the mean lady have to follow the same rules as everyone else? The results were staggering. 17 clear violations on properties owned by board members or their supporters, none of which had ever received citations. Victoria's selective enforcement pattern was so obvious, it looked like a political targeting list. Monday morning, I filed a formal complaint with the County HOA Oversight Board, requesting a complete audit of Victoria's enforcement practices. My submission included 47 photographs, audio recordings of strategy sessions, and documented evidence of selective targeting based on residents' renewable energy support. Victoria's response was swift and stupid. Instead of addressing the violations or trying to appear fair, she doubled down by calling an emergency board meeting to approve new aesthetic guidelines that would retroactively make my solar installation illegal and force me to pay $15,000 in compliance fees. My cameras recorded her coordination calls with board members, including her exact words. I don't care if it's legal or not. We make the rules here, and I'm going to crush this engineer before he ruins everything I've built. Victoria had just handed me a smoking gun. And the beautiful irony? She still had no idea that every threatening word was being captured by the solar-powered surveillance network she was trying so desperately to eliminate. The war was escalating, but I had something Victoria didn't. Eyes and ears everywhere, all powered by the eyesores she wanted destroyed. The emergency HOA board meeting was scheduled for Thursday, 7 p.m. in the community center. Victoria had orchestrated everything perfectly. Only her cronies showed up to vote. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as 12 carefully selected residents filled folding metal chairs that creaked under the weight of manufactured consensus. The musty smell of old carpet mixed with Victoria's overpowering perfume as she called the meeting to order, her gavel striking with judicial authority. Tonight we're voting on critical aesthetic guidelines to preserve our community's character, she announced, not bothering with pleasantries. I arrived with Sarah, Mrs. Patterson, and 3 neighbors Victoria had recently targeted. We carried state solar rights documentation, hoping facts might penetrate her authority bubble. Victoria's proposed guidelines were surgical strikes designed to destroy my installation. Panels had to be earth tone colors, impossible without killing efficiency. They couldn't extend beyond primary roof lines. Mine covered optimal solar area, most devastating. Any non-compliant installations faced $15,000 immediate fines, plus $500 daily penalties until corrected. When I stood to speak, holding my legal documentation, Victoria's face already showed irritation. These proposals violate Texas Solar Rights Act, Section 202.010, which prohibits HOA restrictions that impair solar efficiency. I don't care about your internet research, she snapped. This isn't research, I said, raising the county letter. This is official correspondence from Texas Solar Energy Coordinator, confirming my system as a model residential installation. Even Bob Henderson, the bank manager, shifted nervously. He understood that HOAs could lose legal status for willfully violating state statutes. But Victoria committed the tactical error I'd been hoping for. I've been president 8 years, she declared, voice rising. I don't care what Austin politicians think. Anyone who doesn't comply faces consequences. I'll make life hell for anyone who disrespects this board's authority. Bob actually winced. Victoria had just confessed to intentional illegal retaliation in front of witnesses and my hidden cameras. After the meeting, 3 neighbors approached me in the parking lot under harsh streetlight glare. Teacher Jennifer Morales revealed Victoria's discrimination. Playground improvements rejected for budget constraints, while approving $8,000 for decorative entrance stones. She said playgrounds attract the wrong element, Jennifer whispered, glancing around nervously. I think you know what she meant. That weekend, I requested legally required HOA financial records, What I discovered made my engineering mind reel. Victoria's husband's company, Ashworth Gardens LLC, had received $34,000 in no-bid emergency maintenance contracts. Monthly $3,200 payments went to Willowbrook Consulting LLC, a company that didn't exist in state business registrations. Sarah watched me work past midnight, surrounded by financial documents. She's already targeting Mrs. Patterson. What if she comes after Emma next? That's exactly why I have to expose her, I said, rubbing tired eyes. She's stolen $70,000 from neighbors' fees and threatening bankruptcy fines for legal solar panels. Monday morning brought Victoria's most personal escalation yet. She parked her black Escalade directly blocking my driveway during Emma's school pickup, forcing my 8-year-old daughter to walk 3 extra blocks carrying her heavy backpack. When I confronted her, Victoria examined her manicured nails with theatrical innocence. Street parking is first come, first served. Maybe if certain residents cooperated with community standards, these inconveniences wouldn't happen. But here's what Victoria didn't know. She'd just made her biggest tactical mistake. My cameras captured everything. The precisely timed harassment, her checking her watch to maximize Emma's suffering, even her smug smile while watching my daughter struggle with her backpack. What made this beautiful was the timing. That same morning, Jennifer Morales had called me with explosive news. As a paralegal, she'd been quietly investigating Victoria's financial records and discovered something devastating. The Willowbrook Consulting payments weren't just theft. They were being double billed. Victoria's husband was charging the HOA for services his landscaping company already provided under separate contracts. The total embezzlement was approaching $67,000, all documented in Victoria's own financial approvals. I spent that evening organizing a neighborhood group text chain, sharing legal resources and coordination strategies. My phone buzzed constantly with messages from residents sharing their own Victoria horror stories. Selective enforcement, discriminatory targeting, financial irregularities they'd noticed but been afraid to report. More neighbors started attending meetings after word spread about Victoria's threats and theft. The political momentum was shifting, but Victoria remained oblivious to her exposure. She continued her petty harassment campaign, parking illegally, timing her inspections to disrupt family activities, making threatening phone calls late at night. Every action was captured by my solar-powered surveillance network in crystal clear detail. Victoria thought she was tightening her control through intimidation. What she was actually doing was building my federal case for civil rights violations, financial fraud, and systematic harassment, all while providing the evidence herself. The irony was perfect. The solar panels she wanted eliminated were powering the cameras documenting her crimes. Every threat, every illegal act, every stolen dollar was being recorded by the eyesores she was desperately trying to destroy. 3 weeks after Victoria escalated to targeting Emma, she unleashed her nuclear option. I was drinking morning coffee, watching sunrise paint my solar panels gold, when the sheriff's deputy knocked at 7 a.m. sharp. "Grant Blake, you're being served." The thick envelope contained Victoria's desperation play, a $50,000 lawsuit claiming willful defiance of community standards, aggressive intimidation of board members, and creation of a hostile living environment. She demanded immediate solar panel removal, plus punitive damages for my pattern of harassment. Sarah's coffee cup clattered against the saucer as her hands trembled reading the complaint. "Grant, we can't survive this fight. Medical bills are already crushing us." Through our kitchen window, I watched Victoria standing in her driveway, arms crossed, smiling with vindictive satisfaction as neighbors collected newspapers and whispered about the sheriff's visit. The morning air carried the scent of fresh-cut grass and impending financial ruin. The pressure felt suffocating. Even with engineering salary and consulting work, extended litigation could destroy us. Victoria had calculated this perfectly, hit a family already drowning in cancer debt where it hurt most. Jennifer Morales called that afternoon, her voice tight with anger. "I'm a paralegal with family law experience. Let me review Victoria's filings for free. She just made this personal by going after your family." We met in my garage that evening, surrounded by the gentle hum of electrical equipment and the sharp smell of metal conduits cooling in evening air. Jennifer spread legal documents across my workbench like a battle plan. "This lawsuit is complete garbage. Jennifer declared after 2 hours of review. Legally baseless claims, and her attorney clearly didn't research solar rights law. Then Jennifer's eyes lit up with something dangerous. But here's what Victoria doesn't understand. Her own lawsuit just triggered the discovery process. She'll have to produce all HOA communications and financial records. The irony hit me like voltage through copper wire. Victoria's nuclear attack would force her to hand over evidence of her own crimes. Thursday brought an unexpected call from environmental lawyer David Park. His country club friend had overheard Victoria bragging about finally crushing the solar engineer and suggested David investigate. "Your case could trigger federal civil rights investigation," David explained during our first meeting. "Her targeting pattern suggests systematic discrimination, veteran status, renewable energy adoption, ethnic characteristics." But the real breakthrough came that weekend. While reviewing discovery documents under the blue glow of computer screens, I cross-referenced those mysterious Willowbrook Consulting LLC payments with my security footage timestamps. The revelation was perfect. Victoria and her husband discussing these fraudulent payments in their own driveway, captured in crystal-clear audio by cameras powered by the panels they wanted destroyed. "Accelerate the consulting fees before Bob gets suspicious about the amounts," Victoria had said 3 months ago, completely unaware my surveillance system was documenting their conspiracy. Victoria's desperation was making her reckless beyond belief. She started making threatening phone calls at 2 a.m., not knowing my security system automatically recorded all incoming calls. "You picked the wrong neighborhood, soldier boy," she hissed during Tuesday night's call. "I've destroyed bigger problems than you. Ask the Martinez family what happens when you cross me." The racist undertones were unmistakable, and now permanently documented. My cameras captured her most self-destructive mistake yet, conducting evidence-gathering missions with board member Diane at dawn, measuring fence heights while discussing how to fabricate additional violations against me. "Find something, anything, to justify bigger fines," Victoria instructed on recording, not knowing 3 camera angles were documenting her conspiracy. "We need ammunition to crush this engineer before he exposes everything." But here's where Victoria's arrogance created her fatal vulnerability. She filed additional city complaints about my safety violations, not realizing each complaint triggered investigations that would expose her own unpermitted electrical work. Mrs. Patterson's coffee meetings had quietly built a resistance network. 23 households now shared evidence through our group text chain, documenting Victoria's systematic targeting of anyone who didn't fit her demographic preferences. Local solar company owner Mike Rodriguez offered free upgrades after hearing my story. "Solar harassment is becoming a federal issue," he explained, his weathered hands gesturing toward my panels. "What she's doing violates multiple civil rights statutes." The beautiful twist emerged when David Park revealed my true legal position. "You have documented evidence of federal wire fraud, civil rights violations, criminal conspiracy, and ongoing harassment. She's potentially facing prison time, and she has absolutely no idea." While Victoria thought she was conducting covert warfare against my family, my solar-powered surveillance network was documenting every crime, every conspiracy, every illegal threat she made. She was essentially building the federal case against herself, one recorded conversation at a time. Victoria believed she was winning a neighborhood aesthetic dispute. The reality was devastating. She'd triggered a legal discovery process that would expose years of financial fraud, all while my cameras captured her escalating criminal behavior. She'd handed me enough evidence to destroy her empire completely, and she still thought those I-core panels were just making electricity. The breakthrough came at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, when insomnia and legal paranoia finally paid off. I was reviewing HOA incorporation documents for my defense case, cross-referencing property boundaries with the original subdivision plat, when something made my coffee go cold. Sarah found me hunched over my computer at sunrise, surveying documents spread across my desk like pieces of a conspiracy puzzle. The morning light streaming through our window illuminated what looked like a cartographer's fever dream. "What are you staring at?" she asked, setting fresh coffee beside my elbow. "Victoria's house," I said, pointing to the overlaid measurements. "Look at these boundary lines. Her McMansion extends 3.2 feet onto HOA common area." Sarah leaned in, studying the numbers with her teacher's precision. The implications hit us simultaneously like electrical current through wet wire. "That's a $47,000 land theft," she whispered. I hired professional surveyor Tom Mitchell, whose laser equipment could measure property lines to quarter-inch precision. The metallic beeping of his instruments across Victoria's pristine landscaping sounded like a countdown to Judgment Day. Tom's weathered face grew grim as he reviewed measurements. "Son, this isn't accidental. Someone deliberately built beyond their property line. In Texas, that's felony theft of community assets. Every HOA member can demand restitution plus damages." Victoria's pool deck, designer gazebo, and half her circular driveway sat squarely on land belonging to every homeowner in our development. She'd stolen thousands of square feet while lecturing neighbors about community standards. Mrs. Patterson's memory provided the smoking gun when I shared the discovery. The smell of chamomile tea filled her living room as she recalled Victoria's manipulation with newfound rage. She demanded expedited approval for renovations, claiming surveying was unnecessary because she knew property lines perfectly, Mrs. Patterson said, arthritic fingers clenching with surprising strength. We trusted her expertise. She played every one of us for fools. But Jennifer's paralegal investigation delivered the knockout punch. Willowbrook Consulting LLC was Victoria's husband, receiving $3,200 monthly for undefined administrative services, 12 months of pure embezzlement, totaling $38,400 stolen directly from neighbors' HOA fees. Here's where my surveillance network revealed its true power. I pulled up archived footage from 3 months earlier, watching Victoria and her husband discuss these fraudulent payments in their own driveway, completely unaware that my eyesore panels were powering cameras documenting their conspiracy. "The board needs to approve consulting payments without questioning details," Victoria had said on crystal-clear audio, "or they'll face immediate replacement for disloyalty." Bob Henderson approached me privately after learning about the survey results. His banker's instincts had been documenting Victoria's irregularities for months, and now he wanted justice for the entire community. "She's been pressuring board approvals without work verification," Bob confided, his professional demeanor cracking with suppressed fury. "Every stolen dollar came from our neighbors' pockets, elderly people on fixed incomes, young families struggling with mortgages. The power structure was crumbling, and Victoria remained oblivious. My surveillance network's true scope was breathtaking. Those underground cables helping elderly neighbors also powered discrete cameras monitoring common areas, including perfect views of her illegal land grab. Months of archived footage showed her construction projects happening clearly on community property. Multiple angles documented systematic theft while she waved at neighbors, playing responsible community leader. My evidence vault now contained everything needed for complete destruction. Survey proof of $47,000 land theft, financial records showing $38,400 embezzlement, discrimination recordings, plus comprehensive surveillance documentation of ongoing criminal behavior. David Park explained the legal reality with barely contained excitement. "You have felony theft, wire fraud, conspiracy, and civil rights violations. She's facing potential federal charges and total financial ruin." Victoria remained completely oblivious, continuing her harassment campaign while my cameras captured every illegal action. Her lawsuit had triggered the discovery process that exposed everything, all while the solar panels she wanted destroyed powered the surveillance network documenting her downfall. The only question now was how public and devastating her exposure would be. Sunday morning, David Park arrived carrying a leather briefcase and the focused intensity of a surgeon preparing for heart surgery. The aroma of Sarah's blueberry pancakes mixed with the metallic scent of electrical equipment as we transformed my kitchen table into a war room. "Here's how we end her," David said, opening 3 color-coded folders. Criminal referral for embezzlement, civil lawsuit for land encroachment, federal civil rights complaint for discriminatory enforcement. All 3 trigger simultaneously for maximum devastation. The satisfying snap of folder tabs opening sounded like chambers loading an illegal revolver. Jennifer arrived an hour later with her laptop and the determination of someone who'd finally found a worthy fight. "I've been following that money trail through bank records," she said, spreadsheets glowing on her screen. "Victoria's husband has been double billing, charging HOA for services his landscaping company already provides separately. We're looking at $67,000 in total fraud. But here's what made our strategy absolutely beautiful. While neighbors assumed I was expanding my solar monitoring system, I was actually documenting every square inch of HOA property for evidence. 17 cameras now covered 3 blocks, all powered by the panels Victoria desperately wanted eliminated. She was literally demanding removal of the infrastructure capturing her crimes. The irony was so perfect, it felt like divine intervention. Mrs. Patterson had evolved from frightened widow into neighborhood spy master, organizing coffee meetings that felt like resistance cells planning revolution. The gentle clink of china teacups provided soundtrack to whispered intelligence sharing about Victoria's systematic harassment campaigns. She threatened fines for Harold's Memorial Garden, Mrs. Patterson told our strategy session, voice steady with newfound steel. But when the Williams family planted identical roses, she gushed about lovely neighborhood enhancements. Funny how that works when you're wealthy campaign donors. David spread Texas property code documents across my counter like battle maps. Board removal requires 51% resident vote after formal petition. Beautiful part? Your camera evidence provides overwhelming documentation of cause. I spent that week programming facial recognition software around my solar installation, creating an automated early warning system. If Victoria approached with tools, police would receive instant alerts with live stream footage. The gentle whir of servers processing surveillance data became our household's new lullaby. Jennifer contacted Channel 8's investigative reporter Lisa Blake, who specialized in exposing suburban corruption. She wants bulletproof documentation and multiple victim interviews, Jennifer explained. Lucky for us, we have months of footage and 23 households ready for their close-ups. Bob Henderson provided crucial inside intelligence during clandestine grocery store parking lot meetings. Victoria's in full panic mode about audit requests, he whispered, checking over his shoulder like a Cold War informant. She's pressuring emergency expense approvals that could bankrupt the HOA. If we don't stop her, she'll drain reserves for legal fees. My cameras captured late-night strategy sessions in Victoria's driveway, recording desperate coordination with remaining allies to liquidate assets before investigations discover irregularities. The desperation in her voice was almost musical. I compiled our digital evidence package like assembling a precision instrument. 8 months of surveillance footage, financial conversations proving embezzlement, land grab construction documentation, discrimination pattern analysis, systematic harassment timelines. Every piece interlocked perfectly. Here's where engineering thinking became tactical advantage. I programmed the system to live stream any property damage directly to police dispatch and social media simultaneously. Victoria's next vandalism attempt would broadcast live to thousands of viewers. David coordinated with County Prosecutor Maria Santos and FBI Financial Crimes Unit for simultaneous filing. Maximum media impact, he explained, rubbing his hands together with prosecutors' glee. Victoria's downfall needs to be public and complete, a warning to every suburban dictator. Our Solar Energy Workshop provided perfect cover for community legal education. 27 households learned renewable energy benefits while actually discovering their civil rights protections. The smell of fresh coffee and sound of turning pages masked serious civil rights organizing. Mrs. Patterson became our archivist, digitizing 5 years of meeting minutes with the methodical precision of a forensic accountant. The rhythmic beep of her scanner and rustle of old papers created documentary soundtrack to Victoria's exposed corruption. But the most satisfying preparation was scheduling the final confrontation. Saturday evening HOA meeting for maximum attendance. Working families could participate in Victoria's public destruction. Formal notices advertised critical community announcements without revealing the incoming legal apocalypse. Friday night, I tested every camera angle, confirmed live stream capabilities, and rehearsed my presentation until Victoria remained oblivious that her next meeting would be her last, and that those eyesore panels would power the network broadcasting her complete annihilation. Victoria's panic attack began when her $400 per hour attorney finally explained reality. Federal charges, personal bankruptcy, potential prison time. The suburban dictator was facing actual consequences for the first time in her 8-year reign. Tuesday night at 2:17 a.m., desperation drove Victoria to her most catastrophic decision yet. My facial recognition system triggered instant alerts as two dark figures approached, carrying spray cans and a crowbar, moving with the stealth of suburban commandos on a midnight mission. But Victoria wasn't just targeting my panels. She orchestrated a neighborhood-wide vandalism spree, hitting 3 other residents' violations to disguise personal retaliation as random crime. The sharp tang of aerosol paint mixed with night-blooming jasmine as pink graffiti bloomed across the Morales family's vegetable garden fence, Mrs. Patterson's antique mailbox, and the Johnsons' holiday lights. My security system performed like a precision instrument. 4K footage captured Victoria's face under motion sensor lighting, her husband wielding the crowbar against my junction boxes, both coordinating destruction with military efficiency. The metallic crack of breaking electrical conduit echoed through the quiet cul-de-sac. Here's where engineering preparation became poetry in motion. My cameras automatically alerted police dispatch while simultaneously launching live streams to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Within minutes, thousands of viewers were watching HOA Karen's Midnight Rampage unfold in real time with professional lighting and multiple camera angles. Officer Jessica Martinez arrived in 6 minutes flat, finding Victoria mid-swing with hot pink paint dripping from her manicured fingers like evidence of suburban warfare. The arrest sequence was captured from 4 different angles. Victoria's deer-in-headlights expression, her husband dropping the crowbar and attempting to flee, the humiliating handcuff ceremony while neighbors emerged in bathrobes to witness justice. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for criminal mischief, trespassing, and destruction of property," Officer Martinez announced, while Victoria sputtered about being entrapped by criminals and harassed by terrorists. The live stream exploded overnight. 3.2 million views by morning as hashtag #SprayPaintKaren dominated trending topics. Comments poured in from every state, viewers sharing HOA horror stories and demanding justice for neighborhood dictators everywhere. But the beautiful twist emerged during arrest processing. Police discovered Victoria had used the HOA corporate credit card for her vandalism supplies. Spray paint, crowbars, dark clothing, even energy drinks for her midnight crime spree, all charged as emergency community maintenance expenses. Additional embezzlement charges were filed before she finished booking. Judge Patricia Williams set crushing bail after prosecutor Maria Santos detailed the escalating harassment campaign. Defendant demonstrates clear flight risk with pattern of retaliatory violence against vulnerable community members, the judge declared. Bail set at $25,000. Victoria posted bail using emergency loans against her McMansion, then immediately violated restraining orders by conducting surveillance drives past my house. My camera network captured each violation, her black Mercedes cruising past Emma's school, parking outside our driveway during dinner, even following Sarah to Target with stalker-like persistence. Each violation triggered automatic police alerts, with timestamp documentation and license plate verification. Victoria was essentially building her own federal case through compulsive criminality. FBI, Financial Crimes Unit, expedited their investigation after viral footage demonstrated systematic civil rights violations. When 3.2 million social media users demand federal action, bureaucracy moves faster. Victoria's desperation reached clinical levels as she realized her total exposure. My cameras recorded increasingly unhinged conversations, coordinating evidence destruction with remaining allies, her husband attempting to sandblast spray paint from crime scenes, frantic calls to lawyers about making federal charges disappear. "Those cameras have to be destroyed before they destroy us," Victoria told Diane Cromwell in crystal clear audio. "I don't care about legality anymore. That engineer's surveillance system contains everything." The community transformation was remarkable to witness. Neighbors who'd endured years of authoritarian abuse finally felt safe sharing their stories. Fundraising for vandalism repairs brought everyone together, while local solar company donated professional cleaning services for all damaged panels. Mrs. Patterson emerged as unlikely community leader, organizing healing circles where residents process trauma from Victoria's systematic harassment. The aroma of chamomile tea and sound of shared laughter created therapeutic atmosphere in her living room. But here's what made Victoria's situation hopeless. My security footage had become neighborhood documentary archive, preserving years of selective enforcement, discriminatory targeting, and systematic abuse. Every illegal action was stored in high-definition detail, powered by the solar panels she'd spent months trying to eliminate. Despite mounting criminal charges and viral infamy, Victoria continued her harassment campaign, with the desperate intensity of someone completely divorced from reality. She seemed psychologically incapable of accepting that every threatening gesture, every illegal act, every conspiracy conversation was being captured by surveillance technology she'd helped create. The viral video had made Victoria nationally infamous as the face of HOA tyranny, but she still believed intimidation could overcome federal evidence. Her delusion was becoming her final act of self-destruction. Victoria had transformed from suburban dictator to criminal defendant to viral laughingstock, all while my solar panels powered the cameras documenting her complete psychological breakdown. Victoria's social media consultant arrived Thursday morning, like a digital mercenary hired to reshape reality. My cameras captured her black SUV pulling into Victoria's driveway, followed by 2 hours of intense strategy sessions that my audio surveillance recorded in devastating detail. "We need to flood neighborhood Facebook groups with counter-narratives," the consultant explained, laptop open on Victoria's kitchen table. "Make Grant look unstable, dangerous. Plant stories about him threatening children, harassing elderly residents. Create doubt about that viral video." Within hours, fake social media accounts began posting fabricated stories about my violent outbursts and intimidation tactics. Screenshots flooded local community groups, showing doctored conversations where I allegedly threatened neighbors and made racist comments about the Morales family. The metallic taste of fury filled my mouth as I watched Victoria's disinformation campaign unfold in real time. But here's what made this beautiful. My cameras had recorded her entire coordination strategy, including specific instructions about which lies to spread and which neighbors to target. Victoria's consultant made a fatal error by using Victoria's home Wi-Fi network for the fake account creation. Jennifer's tech-savvy brother traced every fabricated post back to Victoria's IP address, providing digital fingerprints that connected her directly to criminal harassment and defamation. But Victoria's desperation reached new heights when she called my employer, claiming I was psychologically unstable and threatening community safety. She demanded my termination through false professional complaints, not knowing my security system recorded her entire conversation with HR. "That engineer is dangerous," Victoria lied to my supervisor. "He's been stalking neighbors, threatening children, and I have multiple witnesses who can confirm his erratic behavior." My environmental lawyer, David Park, filed emergency restraining order expansions and criminal harassment charges within hours. The documentation package included Victoria's recorded defamation campaign, digital forensics proving her fake social media operation, and audio evidence of employment interference. The mini-twist came when Victoria attempted to liquidate HOA reserve funds to pay mounting legal expenses. She called an emergency board vote she no longer controlled, not realizing Bob Henderson had already resigned and was cooperating with federal investigators. "We need immediate access to emergency funds for community legal defense," Victoria demanded during the recorded board call. "These outside agitators are destroying our neighborhood through frivolous lawsuits." The bank froze all HOA accounts pending FBI investigation. Victoria's media strategy backfired spectacularly when she granted an exclusive interview to sympathetic lifestyle blogger Rebecca Walsh. Victoria portrayed herself as a victim of coordinated attack by radical environmentalists who hate traditional community values. The interview self-destructed when Rebecca fact-checked Victoria's claims against public records. Every statement proved false. No police report supported Victoria's allegations. My permits were completely legal, and surveillance footage contradicted her timeline of events. Rebecca's follow-up article titled "When HOA Presidents Lie" went viral faster than the original vandalism video, generating additional scrutiny from investigative journalists nationwide. Meanwhile, I completed my comprehensive evidence package. 47 hours of security footage, 23 recorded phone conversations, 156 documented financial irregularities, survey proof of land theft, and testimonials from 18 harassed neighbors, all captured by cameras powered by the panels Victoria wanted destroyed. FBI Financial Crimes Unit opened formal investigation after reviewing the digital evidence vault. Agent Sarah Morrison explained that Victoria's scheme met federal mail fraud and wire fraud criteria due to interstate banking transactions for fraudulent consulting payments. But the most satisfying development was community mobilization around Victoria's exposure. I scheduled an emergency HOA meeting for Saturday evening, maximum attendance guaranteed. Legal notices were properly served, but agenda listed only critical community issues without revealing the devastating evidence presentation. Professional video crews were arranged, court stenographer hired for official transcript, and 3 local news stations coordinated for comprehensive coverage. The smell of fresh printed legal documents filled my home office as Sarah helped organize presentation materials. All 47 households received detailed invitations, explaining this meeting would determine their neighborhood's future. Mrs. Patterson coordinated carpools, ensuring maximum attendance for Victoria's public destruction. Victoria attempted to cancel the meeting through legal injunction, claiming I lacked authority to call special sessions. Court rejected her petition after reviewing HOA bylaws, showing any resident can request emergency meetings for community safety issues. The personal stakes intensified when Victoria's death threats escalated to include Emma's school activities. Sarah and Emma attended meetings despite ongoing intimidation, with plainclothes police protection arranged through victim assistance programs. Local solar energy associations sent representatives to document renewable energy harassment for statewide policy advocacy. Environmental groups attended to demonstrate solidarity against discriminatory enforcement. I provided select neighbors with preview evidence, Victoria's recorded discrimination confessions, and financial theft documentation. Their shocked reactions confirm the emotional impact of her complete exposure. Victoria's isolation became total when former allies refused meeting attendance. Even her husband stayed home, having accepted a plea bargain requiring testimony against her criminal enterprise. Friday night, I rehearsed my presentation one final time, focusing on clear legal facts and financial impact documentation. The goal was ensuring every neighbor understood how Victoria's crimes had affected their property values, community safety, and basic civil rights. Saturday evening would bring Victoria face to face with comprehensive evidence of her corruption, broadcast to the entire community she'd terrorized. The solar-powered cameras that captured everything would finally reveal their devastating harvest. Saturday evening, 73 residents packed the community center in the largest HOA gathering in Willowbrook Estates history. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, while folding chairs creaked under the weight of neighbors who'd endured years of Victoria's authoritarian rule, finally ready to witness justice. 3 news crews positioned cameras, while FBI agent Sarah Morrison observed from the back row, notepad ready for additional evidence collection. County sheriff deputies provided security, their presence adding gravity to what everyone sensed would be a historic confrontation. Victoria arrived 20 minutes late, wearing dark sunglasses despite the evening hour, and flanked by her expensive attorney, who immediately objected to recording equipment. "This is harassment of my client," he declared. "We demand privacy for these proceedings." "This is a public meeting producing public record," I responded, gesturing to the packed room. "Every resident has the right to documentation. Judge Williams had already ruled. Public meetings meant public scrutiny." I began with a simple question that silenced the room. "How many of you trust your HOA to manage your money responsibly?" Uncomfortable shifting rippled through the crowd as residents remembered recent assessment increases and mysterious budget items. The financial revelation hit first. I projected HOA budget on a large screen, highlighting $67,000 in payments to Victoria's husband's shell company. Audible gasps echoed through the center as neighbors realized their dues had funded personal enrichment schemes. Willowbrook Consulting LLC received $3,200 monthly for undefined administrative services, I explained, laser pointer tracing fraudulent transactions. "This company doesn't exist in state business registrations. The payments were pure theft from your community funds." Victoria's attorney whispered urgently in her ear, but she remained stone-faced behind her sunglasses. Then came the visual evidence that made everything undeniable. High-definition montage played on multiple screens. Victoria's 2 AM vandalism spree captured in perfect detail, her husband destroying Mrs. Patterson's memorial garden, while Victoria provided lookout, both coordinating their crime with practiced efficiency. Crystal clear audio accompanied the footage. Finally getting rid of this solar trash, Victoria's voice echoed through speakers. These people need to learn who runs this community. Mrs. Patterson took the microphone with trembling hands but steady voice. She destroyed my late husband's memorial roses, the only thing I had left of him, while telling me they attracted undesirable wildlife. Harold fought in Korea to protect our freedoms. She desecrated his memory for her twisted power games. Survey maps displayed next, showing Victoria's illegal land encroachment with laser precision. Professional surveyor Tom Mitchell explained how Victoria's pool deck, gazebo, and driveway occupied $47,000 worth of community property. This isn't accidental boundary confusion, Tom testified. Someone deliberately built on HOA land while serving as president, essentially stealing from every homeowner in this development. Victoria finally spoke, her voice cracking with desperation. This is a coordinated attack by outside agitators who want to destroy our community values. FBI agent Morrison stepped forward, badge visible. Ma'am, I'm here to inform residents that federal investigation has confirmed wire fraud, mail fraud, and civil rights violations. Criminal charges are pending based on surveillance evidence and financial documentation. The room erupted. Victoria's face went white as her attorney grabbed her arm, whispering urgent instructions about remaining silent. But Victoria exploded anyway, ripping off her sunglasses to reveal red-rimmed eyes filled with rage. You ungrateful parasites. I've sacrificed everything for this neighborhood. That engineer and his terrorist surveillance system are destroying everything decent people built here. 3 cameras captured her meltdown in perfect detail as deputies stepped closer, recognizing potential violence in her escalating hysteria. Those solar panels are an eyesore that attracts criminals and degenerates, Victoria screamed, pointing at me with shaking finger. I'll destroy every one of those ugly panels before I let this community become a wasteland. Sheriff Martinez produced handcuffs as Victoria continued her tirade, completely unaware she was confessing to additional crimes on camera. Ma'am, you're under arrest for making terrorist threats and violating restraining orders. My mic drop moment came as Victoria was led away in handcuffs. Those eyesore panels she just threatened to destroy? They power the scholarship fund that'll send your kids to college, funded by Victoria's restitution payments. The community erupted in standing ovation as residents realized their nightmare was finally ending. Parents hugged children, elderly neighbors cried with relief, and everyone began planning the positive changes they'd implement together. Victoria's screams about terrorist engineers and solar panel conspiracies echoed from the parking lot as news cameras captured her complete psychological breakdown. Tomorrow's headlines would write themselves. The solar panels Victoria had spent months trying to eliminate had powered every camera that documented her crimes, preserved every conversation that proved her corruption, and broadcast every moment of her public destruction. Justice had been served with renewable energy. 6 months later, Victoria Ashworth pleaded guilty to federal fraud charges to avoid trial, receiving 18 months in federal prison, plus $127,000 in restitution payments. Her McMansion sold at auction to cover damages, and her family relocated to a different state, leaving our neighborhood to heal and rebuild. The community transformation was remarkable. Our new HOA board, with me serving as president, implemented transparent budgeting and comprehensive anti-discrimination policies. First priority: solar panel incentive program helping all residents reduce energy costs through renewable technology. Sarah's cancer remained in complete remission, her strength returning as stress from Victoria's harassment finally lifted. Emma's science fair project about neighborhood solar grids won the state championship, inspired by our community's journey from tyranny to energy independence. Mrs. Patterson emerged as our neighborhood's unofficial historian, documenting how we overcame authoritarian abuse through cooperation and technology. Her healing garden, planted where Victoria's illegal pool deck once stood, became a symbol of renewal and community resilience. The financial justice was deeply satisfying. Victoria's restitution payments funded 3 community initiatives: Elderly Neighbor Energy Assistance Program, reducing fixed-income residents' bills by 40%, Children's STEM Scholarship Program, inspiring renewable energy careers, and Memorial Garden honoring Harold Patterson and other veterans who protected our freedoms. My security system became the model for community policing programs across Texas. Local law enforcement adopted our camera network design for neighborhood crime prevention, reducing break-ins by 74% through comprehensive surveillance coverage powered entirely by renewable energy. The educational impact spread beyond our community. Universities began using surveillance footage from Victoria's case in criminal justice courses, demonstrating how technology can document and deter abuse of authority. 3 textbooks featured our story as case study in governance failure and citizen empowerment. Media coverage continued for months. Documentary filmmaker Maria Rodriguez followed our 1-year recovery, creating Solar Justice, How One Community Fought Back, that won regional Emmy for public affairs programming. The film highlighted renewable energy's role in community empowerment and democratic resistance. Political change followed public attention. Texas legislature passed the Solar Rights Protection Act, inspired by our case, strengthening renewable energy protections and increasing penalties for HOA discrimination. Victoria's harassment had inadvertently created better legal protections for solar adopters statewide. Annual Solar Day Festival now celebrates both renewable energy and community cooperation in the space where Victoria's McMansion once cast shadows over our neighborhood. Children's activities, educational booths, and food trucks create joy where authoritarianism once spread fear. My consulting business helps homeowners across the country fight HOA corruption, using technical expertise and legal experience to level playing fields against petty dictators. The sweet irony? Victoria's harassment taught me how to help others defeat similar tyrants. Emma and Mrs. Patterson developed beautiful cross-generational friendship, the 8-year-old teaching solar technology while learning gardening wisdom. Their relationship healed community trauma while inspiring other neighbors to build bridges across age gaps. Last week brought another call for help, this time from Florida homeowner facing HOA president secretly redirecting hurricane insurance funds. Looks like we've got another corrupt board to take down, I told Sarah while reviewing evidence from my new client. The phone calls keep coming from communities trapped under HOA dictatorships, each seeking the same justice we achieved through documentation, legal action, and community organizing. Victoria's downfall had become inspiration for nationwide resistance against suburban authoritarianism. The lesson resonates clearly. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't getting even. It's building something better from the ashes of what they tried to destroy. Our solar panels still power half this block, fund scholarship programs, and provide security for everyone Victoria once terrorized. Those eyesores she desperately wanted eliminated became symbols of community resilience, technological empowerment, and democratic values. Every sunny day, they generate clean energy and remind us that ordinary citizens can defeat extraordinary corruption. Remember, folks, petty tyrants only win when good people stay silent. Sometimes all it takes is solar panels, security cameras, and the courage to stand up and transform an entire community.
Grant still lives in that house. Those solar panels are still running, still powering 17 security cameras throughout the neighborhood. Victoria, she's learning about renewable energies in federal prison. Here's the part that really gets me. She spent an entire year trying to destroy the very thing that's were protecting the whole block from her. Grant wasn't some genius mastermind. He was just an engineer who understood that information is power, and that power works best when it's shared the right way. That $127,000 Victoria had to pay back is now covering college tuition for kids studying STEM. That's $47,000 worth of land she stole. It's now a memorial garden for veterans like grandfather. But you know what really impressed me? Grant never took the cameras down because when petty power starts running wild, technology might be your best shield. So let me ask you, are you living under a dictator HOA? Got a Victoria of your own harassing neighbors? Drop your story in the comments. Some of you might need advice on how to fight back against small town authority. If this story opened your eyes to the power of documenting everything, hit that like button and subscribe for more HOA story that will make your blood boil and your heart sing. Remember, in the war between citizens and petty officials, the person with evidence usually wins